There are 9 things that you should be doing with your brand new DJI Neo 2 as soon as you get it. Now these things are going to make your flying safer, your footage better, and also allow you to unlock some of the new features here on the Neo 2 which aren't set up out of the box. So if you're new around here, my name is Justin. It is great to see your wonderful smiling face, and if you've been here before, it is great to have you back. So let's get started with the first one, which is going to be updating your batteries. So when you first get your Neo 2 out of the box and you power it up, the first thing you have to do is a firmware update, and that updates the drone and it also updates the software here on the battery. These batteries are intelligent flight batteries, so they have their own circuitry inside which sort of manages self-discharge and keeping the battery safe and all that good stuff, and from time to time these batteries need updating. So when you first update your Neo 2, let it run through the update, all good. Then you want to pull the battery out and then put one of your other batteries in, so if you've got a Fly More combo, and then you want to connect the drone to your phone again, and you want to go back to the DJI Fly home screen, and here you'll see a little pop-up in the top right hand corner if you need to update the firmware there on your battery. So if you then click on this pop-up, it's going to run the firmware update on the battery, and then once this is done, you can repeat the process with your last remaining battery or any other batteries that you might need, and you should be good to go. Now, if you don't do this beforehand, the chances are when you get out to the field, you'll actually get a prompt telling you to update the batteries if you're using a controller or flying using the goggles. However, if you're flying using your phone, you might not get this prompt come up, and you can actually get restricted functionality of the drone without having the correct firmware there on your battery. So making sure that you just run through and check that it's all up to date before you even start going out and flying is going to save you time in the field and make sure you have full functionality on your Neo 2. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to customize which modes are available here via the quick selection on the screen. So turn on the Neo 2, connect it to your phone. Then you're going to want to click on settings, and then in the top there you see it says customize modes. Click on this and you'll now see a split list of all the different quick shot options that we have on the Neo 2. And above the line is everything that's going to show up here on the screen as you cycle through, and below the line are things that aren't going to show up. So if you want to use the new feature like dolly zoom, or you want cycling follow, something like that, you can just click on them, drag them up to the top, and they will now be shown on the screen when you cycle through using the buttons, which means that you don't need to turn your phone on in the future in order to use these modes on the Neo 2. So go through, pick all the modes that you want, and you can also remove ones that you might not need. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to activate hand gestures. So you might notice that when you get your Neo 2 out and you first just try and fly it, the hand gestures aren't working. That's because you need to go into the app and actually activate them first. So just connect the Neo 2 to your phone, open the app, and then you'll see the little palm symbol there. Click on that. That is then going to activate hand gestures. It's going to run you through a little bit of a tutorial through as well, and then you can now use the hand gestures function there on the Neo 2. The force will be with you, and you can have all the fun that comes along with that. Next up, you're going to want to fine-tune your obstacle avoidance settings. Now, if you're using the phone or you're using a controller, you have the options to set your obstacle avoidance to either off, brake, or bypass. So when it's off, as it speaks for itself, obstacle avoidance will not be working, so the drone will crash into things no matter the situation. If obstacle avoidance is set to brake, when the drone sees an obstacle, it's going to slow down and stop before it gets to it. And when it's set to bypass, it's going to try and find a safe route around the obstacle to continue flying in the same direction. Now, when it's set to bypass, you also have the option to set to normal or nifty. Now, normal just means the drone is going to take a normal amount of risk, but nifty means it's going to take a little bit more risk, fly a little bit closer to obstacles in order to try and get the shot. So set this accordingly and to the type of flying or shots that you're trying to capture. And when you're flying FPV using the goggles, you have the option to turn obstacle avoidance off or set it to brake when you're in normal mode. It can get a little bit intrusive when you're flying FPV, so a lot of times I like to turn it off. If you're enjoying these quick-fire Neo 2 tips, then do me a favor and hit the subscribe button down below. I'm pushing for 50,000 subscribers and we are so close. So if you are enjoying this, hit the subscribe button down below. For more content like this, it really helps out the channel. So the next thing you want to do is you want to go into the settings and set up all your camera preferences. So your quality, frame rates, whether that's 4K, 2.7K, horizontal, vertical. And something to remember here is all of these settings will remain the same when you then come out of the app and you go to use the drone on itself without using your phone. So if you then want to change between portrait or landscape, you'll then need to reconnect to your phone, change the settings, and then this will now be the saved setting going forward. So just make sure that you've got that set up so it's going to be in the right mode for what you're trying to film. You can also adjust all of these camera settings when using the controller or using the FPV goggles. So again, just go through and make sure you set it up correctly before you start flying. I know a lot of times this comes set to 1080p, where a lot of us like to record in 4K, so just make sure you double check, before you get going. The next tip is going to be related to charging, and it's going to be to get yourself a nice high wattage output USB-C charger so you can charge the Neo 2 up as fast as it can physically charge. Now, when you're using the 3 battery hub, you can actually charge all 3 batteries in just over an hour if you use a power source which is more than 45 watts. Personally, I recommend just getting something like a 65 watt USB-C output charger and a nice high quality USB-C cable too. You need to make sure the cable can match the output, and then you should be able to charge them up with no problems. If you're charging up via the drone, it's going to take a long time because it only supports up to 15 watts charging. So I recommend just pull the battery out, put them in the hub, charge them that way. It's going to be way faster. Okay, so the next one is going to help you get better quality footage, and you're going to get that by reducing the sharpness level of the video footage. Now, you can't actually make this change when just using your phone. You have to use a controller or the FPV goggles in order to change the sharpness value here. But you're going to want to reduce this from 0 to -2. I find at 0 the image is a little bit too over sharpened and looks slightly unnatural. When you pull the sharpness down to -2, everything just looks a lot more natural, more cinematic, and the image to me is just more pleasing to look at. Now, often in the past, I always complain about how the thing is too sharp out of the box, but I should also be a little bit appreciative that they do give us the option to reduce the sharpness. It is a bit of a shame you still can't do it using your phone, but if you are using the controller, you can find the sharpness settings in the menu system by clicking on the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, going over to camera, scrolling down until you see style, and then you can adjust the sharpness there to -2. And if you're using FPV goggles, you need to go into the settings, camera, advanced camera settings, and here you'll be able to adjust your sharpness there to -2 as well. And that's just going to help to pull out some of that over sharpening and make that footage look more cinematic. Okay, the next tip is going to be to actually get yourself DJI's Care Refresh. If it's available in your area, DJI Care Refresh is a really cheap insurance policy here on the Neo 2. The Neo 2 is already a fairly cheap drone, but Care Refresh is so cheap on this thing, and it just protects you in case you damage the drone or you get a flyaway, something like that. It allows you to get a really cheap and quick replacement there on your Neo 2, and especially if you're flying at FPV, it is a really good thing to consider getting. Do remember, you will need to activate this within 48 hours of activating the drone. So yeah, pick it up at the same time you pick up the Neo 2, and you should be good to go. If you like drones and drone related content, you can also subscribe to my completely free weekly newsletter where I send you the latest drone news, hot tips, and a little bit of a behind the scenes look into what's going on in my life. So you get to stay up to date with all the latest drone releases, drone announcements, and you also get a little bit of a sneak peek into what's coming up potentially in future videos. It is completely free to sign up to. I send it to you every single week, and I will leave that linked in the video description. Now, there is actually another thing that you can do with your Neo 2 in order to get better quality footage, and that is going to be to use ND filters. Now, I do have a video coming on this very, very soon, so make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss it when it goes live. And if it's already live, I'm going to put that video just here. And if not, something else will be there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go and check that one out. If that one doesn't speak to you, go and check out this video here instead. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Enjoy your Neo 2, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.